Hey, I'm Liao and I run developer evangelism here at DocuSign. I'm at DocuSign Seattle headquarters today with Gil Vincent, who is a product manager with professional services. Thank you for joining us, Gil, and welcome. Gil, tell us how long you've been at DocuSign and what you work on here.
Okay, I've been with DocuSign for just about 7 years, working in professional services, helping our customers, both big and small, integrate DocuSign into their business processes, specifically around the technologies, around the API and the platform.
You just hit on two things I love talking about. So obviously I like talking about the API and I love talking about our integrations, specifically the ones that are both successful on a large and on a small scale. So you've probably seen a lot of different integrations at this point. Can you tell me a little bit about sort of the overarching architecture around these and perhaps what folks should be thinking about going into doing an integration with DocuSign?
Sure, I'd love to. A lot of folks want to talk about particulars or specifics of the API or how you integrate, and they don't take a look at the big picture, the overarching solution architecture. And so I like to talk in terms of these levels of integration.
Cool. So let's start at the most basic level, and I like levels, and I think that's a very good way to sort of tangibly think about this. At the most basic level, if I'm just doing a simple API integration, is that going to be a level 1 or a level 0, or how do you think about it?
Yeah, that's what I consider a level 1 integration is where the business defined a very narrow need, and the development team has taken on just what they need to accomplish right then and there, just for that particular minimal use case. And oftentimes you hear that minimal viable product, right?
Yeah, MVP, sure.
Yeah, so they took the shortest approach toward it. They just took a quick look at the documentation, figured out how to build a basic envelope with just that one document, maybe one sign or whatever. And when I talk about these systems and these levels of integration, I like to liken DocuSign and the API and its platform as being kind of like one of those kitchens on the Food Network channel, where you go in and you see this kitchen that has everything in it, all the equipment, all the different ingredients that you can basically build any sort of meal.
Okay.
And DocuSign, we don't know what kind of meal you want to serve, but we provide you with the tools. In this case, they're looking at making a ham sandwich, and that's exactly what they designed, is a sandwich shop that can make a ham sandwich. They figured out how to make the ham sandwich. Now they've created a ham sandwich restaurant.
So now we're talking food analogies. So let's say we're going out to lunch, and I'm a creature of habit. I usually like eating the same thing for a little bit. But if I, for whatever reason, don't want to eat a ham sandwich today, what's going to be level 2? What comes next for the customer that has built a kitchen that can very successfully make ham sandwiches?
Right. So you got a kitchen that makes ham sandwiches. Is that a viable sandwich shop business model? Probably not. Who wants just a ham sandwich every time?
Sure.
So great question. The next level is a level 2 integration, where now you take advantage of the DocuSign APIs and the platform and its different features. And so now you want to provide additional options. So when it comes to that envelope, can I add additional features and capabilities and flex it a little bit? So I'm still making sandwiches, but now I can have like a tomato or cheese option.
Okay.
And if I can make those as options, then why not swap out the meat? Why not swap out the bread? Now I'm building something that's more flexible, a sandwich shop that can make different kinds of sandwiches. That's closer to being a viable business. And for a DocuSign integration, that means you're building something that will return more to your investment in DocuSign and be able to go beyond just that minimal viable product thing that a level 1 integration would look like.
Okay, so now I have a sandwich shop that can make somewhat more complex sandwiches with different materials. What about if the customer, using your analogy, since I love the food analogy, I think it's great, what if they want to move past sandwiches? What if they want to do other lunch offerings, or perhaps a dinner offering? What comes next? What's a level 3 look like?
Sure. So level 3, here's where really you didn't start by building a sandwich shop and deciding that's all you wanted was a sandwich shop, and then 3 years later you decide you want to grow into a bigger restaurant. Right? You've got some of that vision already. You know that you need to meet these immediate needs, but you know you're going to need to grow to expand beyond those immediate needs. You just need to phase it, right? So level 3 integration, you want to lay in the foundation to do more than just those sandwiches, but to do lunch meals, maybe dinner meals, maybe breakfast meals. You need some flexibility. You need the right equipment. You need more than just a panini maker, right? You need all those different things. So you don't want to go all out and build it up front, high cost, right? But by choosing the right capabilities and the right approach in your solution design, you can have the right flexibility to meet your current needs, but then grow into those other needs. And our APIs and our platform provide some of those tools, some of the best practices that you'll want to engage on.
So from what you've told me so far, it sounds like if, as a customer, I want to dream a little bit bigger, I want to serve a little bit more food, scale up my business a little bit more, what comes after that? Is there more?
Yeah, actually that's another great question, because then you move up to what I refer to as level 4. Now, level 4 integration, this is at the high level. This is not something that most companies will start at. This is something that they evolve into.
Sure.
But if they've already got the infrastructure and they already do it in other cases, then it makes perfect sense. So in my food analogy, think of it in terms of, now I have a restaurant that provides catering services.
Yeah.
I have continuing contracts to provide food for different multiple cafeterias and for hotel and convention center events and everything else. And so now I've got a real service level type of thing. So level 4, first variant of a level 4 integration is a shared services approach. So now, instead of being tied as a point solution to a particular business application, now it's just part of the enterprise fabric of services. So it can be integrated and employed with not just this business application, but also this other application. You move beyond those. So in the real world, this would be like you can easily and quickly integrate your back end. So it could be like insurance for starting with claims, but quickly moving to policy sales and services.
Sure.
And then maybe even incorporating other things that are like internal approvals and other types of business that the overall business is involved in, both internal and external sort of use cases. So that's a shared services approach. The other variation on that is, okay, we've got this team of experts on setting up a great restaurant. Instead of building a bigger and bigger restaurant, let's invest in this resource team and be able to build different restaurants on demand, on need from the business. So they know all the ins and outs of setting up a breakfast shop, a 5-star French dinner restaurant, whatever is needed at the time it's needed. They come in as the experts. They know how to set up the kitchen. They know how to cook the food. Plan out the acquisition of the materials for that food, for those meals, but they also know how to set up the point of sale system,
Okay.
all that other stuff that's needed. So that's more of a shared service resource team that becomes kind of the nucleus of a center of excellence within the organization, within the enterprise, to quickly put together what's needed for each one of the businesses as they grow and as they increase the number of use cases where they can leverage DocuSign and make it a end-to-end digital transaction management system.
Interesting. So, okay, that sounds pretty cool. In the process of working on these different levels with customers, I'm sure you've learned like a lot of lessons about best practices around how to be successful doing this thing. You want to share some of those with us?
Sure. So, from our enthusiasm, you can probably tell that level 1 integration, that's probably not something you should target. That's like a prototype, proof of concept type of thing.
Sure.
Level 2 is the minimum. Set up that sandwich shop, but what we refer to, or what I refer to as the sweet spot, is a level 3 integration, where you've built enough flexibility to not only meet your current needs, but grow into additional needs. And that's built around certain particular best practices. For example, in the API itself, when it comes to envelope creation, you want to start with the composite template model. It's a bit more complex,
Sure.
but if you build around that model, you can build any sort of DocuSign envelope and not be limited with some dead-end streets that you might end up with a different approach.
Okay.
And then to tie in the back end, it's no good to do a great integration on sending out the envelopes, but then a human has to download and move the data into the back-end systems.
Right.
So the other part of it is the Connect service.
Okay.
And building a listener for the Connect service, that's your secret weapon to integrate on the back end. So again, a level 3, and then opening the door to growing into a level 4 maybe. Those key pieces, composite templates, Connect, and then a few other aspects, employing templates when you can, all those things really set the stage for a great implementation that can grow with the business and grow with the increase in different use cases.
So you just covered a lot of really good information there, specifically around some of the technical aspects of how to do these integrations. Anything else customers should be thinking about as they go into doing these integrations?
Sure. It's a kind of a team sort of sport, and there's other aspects outside the direct technical aspects that need to be addressed and need to be addressed early in the planning. So just like with a restaurant, building the kitchen and coming up with some great dishes, that's fantastic, but if you don't have the point of sale system, you don't have the bookkeeping on the back end, the business is going to fail. So again, with these integrations, you want to start thinking early about how do we plan for the business to be ready for this? How do we plan for training our users? How do we plan to ensure that our own internal customer support organization can support our users with these new systems? What about IT maintenance? The developers will build it, but who's going to maintain it and do maintenance and any sort of enhancements to the system? Those sort of things. You need to also incorporate marketing as part of it, right?
Sure.
So just like with a restaurant, you need marketing. With your internal business applications, you need a little bit of marketing to make sure that everything goes smoothly and people are aware and take advantage and do the right things with your applications. So those all fold into it, and so it's really those type of things. That's a lot to keep track of. That's where I would highly encourage any customer that's looking to do anything on that sort of scale. Really, come talk to us about what services are available, and we can scope out, what you really need. Not to overscope it and not to underscope it, but give you the type of support and guidance and get you set on the right path from the beginning of the project, as opposed to late in the project, trying to play catch up.
Sure. Great information, Gil. Thanks so much for sharing with us.